place, number 4 shows up. And number 4 is a level of relationship, a level of loyalty, a level of understanding and empathy that is hard to come by in today's world. Where you have total safety knowing you can never screw up so big that they will just abandon you. And everyone in this room has relationships like that already, don't you? Mm-hmm. We all have someone in our lives that it doesn't matter. I mean, they forgive our biggest indiscretions, don't they? They overlook it when we are an ogre. They forgive us when we don't deserve it. They allow us the freedom to be us, to be authentically, genuinely, beautifully us. They allow us the freedom to do that. And when we screw up or when we step outside the bounds, they forgive it. And we never worry. How many of you have a relationship with someone who never worry? You never worry that there could possibly be anything that would ever have them love you any less. How many of you have a relationship like that in your life? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Most of those happen by default, but they can also happen by design. And this is how we do it. And if you analyze those relationships that you have, you will probably find that all of these elements are there. All those elements are in that relationship. We just never gave it labels. Just never gave it a word. So, all those willing to go back to your offices after today and recreate yourselves, reimagine yourselves, recommit to playing the game far beyond what has ever been expected, requested, or asked of you. All those willing to do that say aye.
Aye.
Nice. So, when you become that, you become a team that becomes resistant and resilient to life's challenges, that is able to respond immediately and effectively and begin doing the things that will get you out of the pain or out of the problem or out of the challenge so that you can have the practice that you want. It just doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't happen by default. Let me check our time. What time is it? 2:47. 2:47. Okay. 2:47. Now, with that foundation laying, with the foundation of team and teamwork and team play and seeking first to give, not to receive, in that environment, now we can begin addressing some of the things we must do. Okay? So from the right place, what are the things we need to do? Now, in your practice, there are 5 business engines. And all of these engines and how you engage these engines and how each of these engines perform is all hinged on where are we going? What is our compelling future? What are our core values? And those values and those intentions should be expressed in other words, these engines and how those engines operate and perform should be an expression of that vision. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. You should prove that vision and that commitment and those values through each of these systems. So let's talk about these systems a little bit. Now this weekend, we are not going to hit on all of these systems, but we will hit on some. We may not go too in-depth with all of these engines, but we will graze the surface a little bit. So here's what they are. So from the vision, we must attract people who share our beliefs, our attitudes and our beliefs and our values. See, if you invite people to join your team that value the same things that you do, they value people, they value service, they value giving, they value trust, they value doing an exceptional job, they value being better than the rest. They value constant and never-ending improvement, which is one of the things that all the coaches at Fortune value. We never believe we have mastered everything because life is a process, not an outcome. So we are about constant and never-ending improvement. We're always investing in ourselves, and we invite you to do the same, so that we never stay on the same plane too long and have the world pass us. So you've got to surround yourself with the right people. And I believe that if you're going to be really successful at anything, you need to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. Because if you are the smartest one on your team, you become the weakest link on your team. If you know it all, and no one knows more than you, you have just limited what life will return to you. Yeah. So you need to surround people who are smarter than you. You need to surround yourself with people who have genius in areas that you are lacking. You need to surround yourself with people who bring the strengths in areas that you're weak. People who can outperform you, because no one is going to be perfect in every single skill set we could possibly learn. No one's going to be perfect. And so we can focus on our calling, our purpose, our skills, our gifts, and continue to constantly improve those and learn new ways of expressing those while surrounding ourselves with people who are naturally inclined to be good in other areas. I know within my franchises in the Mid-South, one of my partners is actually a gentleman like I am. And when you guys come through session 3, we'll talk about the various aspects of the DISC, which some of you may be familiar with. It's just a personality and a behavioral profile. But I'm a high ID. I'm higher on the I spectrum than I am on the D spectrum. But I'm an ID. And so I'm good at vision. I'm good at drive. I'm good at influence. I'm good at all of those things. But you know where I suck? Organization. I stink at it. I stink at being able to but kind of get everything organized. Like, I'm the one who you walk into my office and I have got projects at various stages of completion everywhere, but I know exactly where everything is. And if you come in there and move anything, it throws me completely off my game. Do we have other people like that in the room? Okay, yeah, it throws me completely off my game. And so John, my other business partner, John, is a high C. And on the DISC spectrum, C's are highly organized, highly conscientious. They are the perfectionists. They are the ones that will keep doing something over and over again until they perfected it. They can be highly critical, mostly of themselves. Mostly of themselves, because they do want perfection. They want to get it right, and they want to do it right the first time. I's are more, or IDs are more, you know what, if it doesn't, IDs just want to act. We just want to keep moving. If we mess up, we can always recover. C's are so conscientious, they're afraid sometimes to make a move for the fear that they might fail. And so we're able to balance each other there. I'm able to balance where maybe he needs to kind of cut himself a break or cut others a break, and where, like, we've got an online monitoring system that is absolutely phenomenal. John built it from scratch. I'm talking about the algorithms, the code, built it from scratch. And the most fascinating part of how he did it was he learned it as he was building. He didn't know code. He didn't go to college for computer programming. He learned it as he was building it. And it took him 18 months to build it from scratch. But he is so data-oriented, it was easy for him. I would have probably wanted to quit the very first day if that was my task. My brain just doesn't operate that way. So we've got to be willing to appreciate each other's strengths and weaknesses and surround ourselves with people who are strong in areas that we're weak, and appreciate those strengths in them, not make them wrong for it, but appreciate it.
Yep.
You know, my husband is also fairly high on the C spectrum. creates an interesting dynamic sometimes. But it's cool because we can appreciate that about each other. So you want to surround yourself with the right people. And when you get the right people, you want to invest in them. You want to invest in them. You want to train them well. You want to coach them. You want to invest in their constant evolution as a professional. Whether you bring them through a program like this, or you take them to a clinical course, or you go to Hinman or wherever, invest in them. Invest in their growth, personal and professional. Because losing team members, dentistry has a very high turnover rate, and turnover is extremely costly. Costly in time lost, costly in schedule time lost. I mean, it's very costly. And then you've got to go through the retraining of someone. It's best just to invest in them from the beginning.
Yes.
Train them the way they should go. Train them in the skills that they need and continue to invest in them. So once you've got the people in place, finance really has to do with your accounts receivable management, your insurance management. It has to do with financial policies and protocols. It has to do with staff compensation structure and bonus structures. And it has to do with, it has to do with benefits packages and how are we protecting the financial viability of the practice so that it can continue beyond the lifetimes of the people present here. One of the things I was so impressed with the first time I visited Jonathan's practice, the gentleman who just left. The one thing that I was so impressed with is that that practice has been around for 5 generations. 5 generations in that community. I thought that was incredible. Like they are seeing great-grandkids of patients that the original owners saw. And it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. And they are really protective of that. They're really protective of that legacy. Really protective of that reputation. And I find that so honorable. I love that about that practice. One of my favorite teams to visit, truthfully. Because they believe in each other, they support each other, they all give 110%. Would you agree with that? They all give 110% all the time. And it's because it's not just about the dentistry. It's about each other. A few weeks ago, after one of our in-office meetings, and after Freedom Day, actually, they took their entire team down to, where was it they went on the beach? I know you went to Sturgis, but where did they go? Ocean Island. Took the entire team down there and had a big blowout weekend down there. The team didn't pay for any of it. The practice did. I actually have been seeing feeds from one of my other teams down in Little Rock. They created an opportunity to go on a cruise. And not only did they build the opportunity for the cruise and have the cruise completely paid for, but they also built the opportunity for $1,000 spending money for each person while they were down there. So they've done things like paddle boarding and skydiving. I mean, they have had an incredible trip. And it was funded by the practice by what they chose to contribute. How many of you would like to be part of an organization like that? Oh, yeah, me too. I was like, next time, I better get an invitation. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, you've got to protect the financial viability of the practice so that it can be around to do things like that for you. So that it can survive long beyond your current staff and your current patient base. And constantly evolve your system and processes here. Next is your systems and organization. Every single thing in your practice that can be systemized in a way that you can have a predictable, repeatable, scalable way of doing it. Everything that can be systemized should be. Should be. Because systems give us certainty. Systems give us expectancy. Like if everyone's doing the same thing over and over again, then I can have faith that it's always going to be done that way. And it's so easy to train new team members when they can just step into an existing system. If we have 3 people and they're all doing it different, everyone has a different way of making confirmation calls, everyone's got a different way of processing insurance claims. If everyone does it their way, it makes it 10 times harder to train new people because which way is the right way? What way are they supposed to learn?